I feel like animation, like it uses anatomy very heavily in key poses, because in animation you have places where the extremes of the character are going. You start in one position and go to another position, and you have to have a very good understanding of anatomy. In fact, I know a lot of animation majors like to take life drawing as elective, because you have to know it so well in order to illustrate the different poses between the animation poses. So to go from point A to point B and have it look realistic and effective, you have to know anatomy very well.
Well, for visual effects major, most part our work is to make things as realistic as possible. And when we're doing human character or texture for human skin, the face with human eyes, we really need to look back to anatomy to get the information of what we need, because we need to analyze that what's the basis that contain our skin or our eyeballs that makes it look that way. Like, why is that this glare, this specular light in our eyeballs? We need to go find and see like what it's like, what's content, so we can make it as realistic as possible. And it just applies to everything that if we have dealing with any human character or anything that's related to human character, we have to research like everything else we do. But research and anatomy is what we have to look at when we have doing that kind of character.
Well, in fashion, it's all about the body. A woman's body is your canvas. I mean, men's, women's, children, whatever you do, you have to make sure that you're utilizing your fabrics and the lines of your seam lines in order to enhance the person's body. So you end up with so much, it's like a geometry, it's a puzzle. When you make a pattern, you're just trying to get it to fit perfectly with darts and seam lines and where this line might hit on the body. And a woman's body is very curvy, so you really have to take into consideration not to make her look boxy. Every woman wants to look like an hourglass, and every woman is a different shape, different size. So the anatomy of a person and the body of a person is so important when you consider your designs and your illustrations and your patterns and your final product. I mean, anatomy is basically what we thrive off of in fashion. You have to always keep in mind your customer and the body that you're putting your art pieces on.
As a dancer, your body is your art. And so obviously you're using the anatomy of your body to make shapes, to create emotions, and to share the emotions. Also, as an actor, very similar to choreography is stage blocking, so you're using your body to move around other actors or props to continue to tell a story. And you're also using, for voiceovers and film work, the physical picture of your body, and then also your vocal cords. So that part of your anatomy is very important. And I will extend that to singers who are using their diaphragms, throats, musculatures of whatever's going on inside their lungs to project even to an operatic volume for their performance.
Well, every time I draw a character, it has to be in proportion. So when I think of anatomy, I always think of being in proportion to these other parts of the body. I also break down anatomy in terms of environments or props or structures. Each is like, an architecture is the anatomy of an environment. So I apply how things work, like the joints, everything has to work and function together as one to other things, to other props other than human figures and animals.
Anatomy plays into the arts in that it informs the art form, if that's a way to say it. If an artist doesn't know his anatomy, it shows blatantly. And we as human beings, we know what people look like because we look at ourselves and other people all day long. We're experts. Even the smallest child's an expert at anatomy. So if your illustration or your animation or your video game or your painting is not correct, but not stylized enough to pull off not being correct, you can be incorrect for a reason. It shows and it becomes unbelievable, and it distances the viewer from the art. Therefore, they then are looking at the flaws, like what's the matter with their arm, or what's the matter with that chest or that hip, and those feet are really bad. They're all of a sudden becoming critical and not enjoying the artwork, so it fails then, their artwork fails. Another place that we're complete experts are in faces as well, and obviously that's a very difficult thing for beginning artists to excel in, is faces, hands, and feet, and we can pretty much pretend in a lot of the other things. A good artist will we'll study anatomy, we'll really know where the muscle placements are, how the proportions are for different ages. A person of 13 can certainly be told what age they are based on their mandible size versus their head size versus their eyes versus someone who's 60. And then you start looking at the things that have continued to grow, such as ears and noses and things like that, which become humorous about age 80. And people become riddled with gravity symptoms, such as wrinkles and sagging and things like that, that add into it. And all of that takes careful study to be able to portray the human element. I think it's extremely important for art students to study anatomy. That way they can know what to draw and what not to draw. I remember when I was a student, I remember figure drawing, and I absolutely loved it, and that helped. And I was awful at it at first, but as I continued to draw and with the careful patience of my professor, I was able to excel and be able to understand what I was putting down. Once you know that, then you can begin to push it, and you can stylize it, and you can form your own art movement if you want. I mean, if you study Picasso, it's amazing to watch what he does with the art form of the human being and presenting it.